There is a knock at your door, chosen one. You can feel it more than you can hear it. It appears like everything around you is normal, but something has stopped within because heaven has come down at this very instant. There is a reason you are here. You didn't come by accident. This meeting was set up by God, and the time was perfect. It couldn't have happened any sooner or later than now. You are the chosen one, and you are standing at the verge of something that has been waiting for you. What was put off was never denied. What was concealed was being made ready. This is a turning point in your life. According to heaven, the weight you were carrying starts to lighten, and the surprise God had for you becomes real. This is not a dream. This is alignment. The vision waits for its time. As it says in Habakkuk 2:3, it may take a while, but it will not fail. Anointed one, the time of wondering whether you were missed is coming to an end. Something strange is happening. Making things clear when they were unclear, giving you what you needed when you were stressed, and raising you up when you were invisible. You can feel the door, and what is on the other side has the mark of paradise. God doesn't always provide reminders via explanations or loud statements. Sometimes they arrive as something calm, straightforward, and constant, something that is already ready and resting softly where your soul may go back to it. Chosen one, heaven isn't talking to you right now. Heaven is coming closer. Things are moving slowly because something that was meant to be kept back is now at the edge of your life. You didn't accidentally watch this, not right now. This moment is not background noise. This is an interruption. This is timing coming together. This is God telling you to slow down because your spirit was about to miss what your soul has been longing for. I know that sensation. That inner voice that tells you to stay here a moment longer. It's not curiosity or entertainment, it's something more. The type of tug you feel when you're weary of pretending everything is okay and numbing yourself. I have felt it in seasons when I nearly missed my own turning moment, when tiredness seemed like apathy, when stillness felt safer than hope, yet something within wouldn't let go. You still have the same aversion to numbness. The knock you hear is genuine, chosen one. It doesn't mean anything. It is not manipulation of emotions. It's not just wishful thinking. There is something waiting for you that has the mark of heaven, not just outside your door, but in the area where God has been developing you through pressure, delay, and silent perseverance. You didn't go through everything you went through for nothing. You didn't shed the tears that no one saw simply to be left with nothing. Let me tell this clearly, anointed one, for your soul wants clarity, not poetry. God is not making fun of you. He is not making you wait one last time by promising anything. What is coming is not a joke, not a maybe, and not a someday. It is a true delivery that is sealed with authority and timed perfectly. It feels heavy because it is. It feels close because it is. For a long period, you saw other people get what you hoped for. They opened their doors, while yours kept closed. They made friends, changed their money situation, and had new chances, and you were left with questions you never asked. You wondered whether you missed it, if you waited too long, or if you were never intended to do anything more than survive. I have been in the exact spot, wondering why faith seemed invisible and obedience didn't seem to pay off. But heaven keeps track of things you can't see. Every terror you swallowed, every boundary you respected, and every time you decided not to become angry was not a waste. You weren't neglected, you were getting ready. Delay and denial are not the same thing, and only heaven can see it well. When you are living in it, darkness attempted to make you believe that nothing good was coming, that you were not seen. Those promises that were made about your life were just made up. But pay attention to this. Even your worry is beginning to go away, because no one can get in the way of what God seals. Chosen one. This surprise does not come because people let it. It doesn't need to be approved. It doesn't need agreement. It goes directly to destiny. The Bible says that the Lord loves his people and sings about them with joy. That is not a God who is far away. That is a gift. The same presence that kept you together when you were about to fall apart is now giving you something fresh in the light. The knock means, you are not staying here, anointed one. Make sure you grasp this. Not just money, not just connectivity, and not just elevation are coming. God can utilize all of that, but the deeper gift is change, clarity where there was uncertainty, courage where there was fear, and identity where there was insecurity. Calm where turmoil was allowed. Your posture is shifting. The way you view yourself is starting to match up with how heaven has always seen you. Chosen one. You may sense the resistance too, that inner divide where half of you wants to believe and part of you wants to shut down to save from being disappointed. That stress is not a failure, it is the door. Heaven is knocking, and your past is yelling. Trauma attempts to seem smart when it tells you not to open anything that might injure you again, but don't be soft. That voice is not your defender, it is the guard at your jail. God is not making fun of you, anointed one, he is saving you. There is a line being drawn right now. There is a version of you that settles, puts things off, numbs, and remains little to avoid suffering. On the other side is the part of you that steps into calling, authority, and alignment even when you're scared. You are closer to crossing than you think, one agreement and one inward yes away. Chosen one, heaven stopped you here. Because this time is important, your spirit understands that this is not the same, not louder or more dramatic, but heavier and more genuine. Stop thinking of heavenly experiences as fleeting sensations from now on. There is something waiting for you. It has been protected, timed, and kept safe, and now that you're so near, you can feel the air change around it. The following section will explain more about why it couldn't have come sooner and how coming now affects everything. Chosen one. You are still here because something within you knows that this time is special. What is happening now is neither noise or an accumulation of feelings. It is alignment. Heaven isn't hurrying you, but it's pushing you because you've waited long enough and are now too afraid to move. At some point, waiting ceases being preparation and begins becoming opposition. The Spirit knows precisely where that boundary is. You are currently standing on it. Anointed one, there were times when quiet seemed like being left alone. You prayed, but nothing happened. You came, but nothing changed. You saw other people get what you were still begging for, and you learned how to smile even when you were sad about things you never spoke about. That silence wasn't a punishment, it was insulation. God was shielding something delicate and precious in you from places that would have hurt it before it had a chance to grow. I know this because there have been times when I asked God to hurry, only to find out later that haste would have killed me. What I thought was God holding back was really God keeping me together. You were not the same person before, thus the surprise that is waiting for you now did not come sooner. You were strong, but you were also desperate. You had trust, but it was mixed up with the urge to be accepted. You would have either given the gift away to be accepted or wasted it attempting to show your value if heaven had given it to you too soon. God waited till you become more peaceful, a stability, a knowing. The sword that doesn't require applause to stay alive. Anointed one. This is why the breakthrough you're about to have feels different. It doesn't come with a lot of noise. It doesn't come with a lot of stress or concern, it brings tranquility. That serenity is not the lack of fear, but the presence of faith. Lamentations 3:25 says that the Lord is kind to those who wait for him and to the soul that seeks him. Waiting helped you figure things out. It taught your soul how to tell the difference between genuine and fake. Not everything that knocks is sent by God. Chosen one. While you were waiting, a lot of doors opened that seemed real. Some provide comfort but not healing. Others paid attention but didn't make a promise. I recall saying yes to things just because I was weary of being empty, only to find out later that what appeared like help was really a diversion. You may be able to see that pattern, too. Jobs that paid well but made you feel bad. At first, relationships felt warm, but it steadily made things less clear. Those were not mistakes. They were tests of judgment, not marks of favor. Heaven is helping you become better at stopping before you open doors. Anointed one. You're becoming better at asking inquiries. Not simply does this feel good, but does this align? Do I have to conceal, shrink, or give up pieces of myself that God has already healed? The opponent doesn't always fight you in a manner that's easy to see. He often gives you choices that are nearly correct, but what God sends shows who he is. It could push you, but it will never make you feel empty. Chosen one. This is also why some partnerships have become silent. People who are okay with your misery may not like how clear you are now. When God starts to lift you up from the inside, it shows you how things were created on imbalance. You are no longer accessible to be required instead of appreciated. That change might make you feel alone, but it's important. Separation always occurs with elevation, not as punishment, but to keep you safe. Do not confuse the trimming with loss, anointed one. What is drifting away can't go where you are heading. God isn't taking people away from you to leave you alone. He is creating place for relationships that can handle the weight of what he is putting on your life. This season is helping you become better at your attention, your speed, and your circle. You are being given greater trust. And with trust comes duty. Chosen one. The surprise that is waiting for you is not just something you get. It is something you have to take care of. That's why people are looking at your behaviors. Your schedule is being changed. You could feel like you need to slow down in certain areas and speed up in others. This isn't pressure. It is advice. When God is about to provide something important, he also gets the vessel ready. When my mind was busy, I couldn't hold what God intended to give me. Being simple becomes a way to obey. Pay notice to what doesn't fit anymore, anointed one. Things that make you tired, routines that make you numb, and diversions that used to be okay but now seem heavy. This is not a bad thing. It is being conscious. God wants you to live with purpose, not on autopilot. You are going from just getting by to taking care of things. And that change affects how you move, talk, and make decisions. Chosen one. There is also a test going on that you can't see. A posture exam. Are your hands open or closed around past goals and hopes? A lot of the delays were really chances to let go of control. Proverbs 3:5 says, "Put all your faith in the Lord and don't rely on your own understanding." Leaning not is getting rid of scripts you created because you were scared. It means letting God surprise you in ways you didn't plan. Anointed one. Open hands may seem weak, yet they are powerful. It seems secure to have your fists closed, but it tires you out. You can't put what God is delivering into vessels that are formed like fear. You have to trust it. That trust has been rising in you. You got through disappointments and continued praying even when you were exhausted. You are closer than you realize, chosen one. Not because everything is great, but because you are on the same page. Don't quit just because you experience opposition. It is the friction of change. Heaven is not making fun of you. It is asking you to go ahead with wisdom, humility, and bravery. What is waiting for you has a purpose that goes beyond your comfort zone. It should go through you and not stop with you. And when this settles, pay attention to how your soul is calmer, not louder. That peace is not empty. It is being ready. Chosen one, your soul feels both stretched and stabilized for a cause. You are going through a door that needs more from you. But it also shows that heaven trusts you. This following stretch isn't a punishment. It is getting ready for capacity. When God gives us anything important, He makes the vessel bigger before He fills it. That growth typically feels like stress. But pressure doesn't hurt. Pressure is making things happen. You may have realized that the things you used to put up with now make you tired right away. Things that used to seem normal now seem too loud, too busy, or too little. Some voices that used to have an effect on you now don't seem to fit with your spirit. These changes are not mood swings. They are signs of spirituality. When God is raising you up, He makes you more sensitive so you can feel things that your eyes haven't seen yet. I recall a time when everything I knew seemed strange. Not because anything was wrong, but because God was making my inner life bigger to match what He was getting ready for me on the outside. That same growth is happening in you, chosen one. Your ability to tell the difference between good and bad is becoming better because you are entering a time when not every open door is intended to be stepped through. Heaven is helping you learn the difference between an opportunity and an assignment. Opportunity may come from anywhere. But God gives you your task. One propels you ahead for a short time, while the other moves you forward for good. One makes you feel good about yourself, while the other makes you feel good about your mission. And the surprise that is waiting for you has to do with your purpose, not your performance. This is why distraction has sought to grow around you, anointed one. The adversary can't stop what God is sending. So he attempts to get you to lose your concentration before you get it. Old temptations could come back. People from the past may get in touch. Old habits may whisper their familiarity. This doesn't imply you're going back. It signifies that the adversary can't ignore you since you're so close to breaking through. I've lived long enough to know that the biggest diversions usually come shortly before the clearest thoughts. That is what is occurring to you right now. Heaven isn't just giving you anything, chosen one. Heaven is putting you in touch with someone you are becoming. The surprise is not only a gift from outside. It is a change inside. You used to respond swiftly, but now you stop. You used to doubt easily, but now you can tell. You used to look for validation, but now you look for congruence. These little changes aren't little at all. They show that God has been working in the dark parts of your life, changing what fear used to tell you to do. You are starting to sense a calm power rise up in you, anointed one. Not being arrogant or self-important, yet having authority. The type that comes from getting through storms without becoming bitter. The type that comes from being hurt but not killed. The type that comes from seeing God keep you together when you had nothing left to give except air. People don't give you authority, you earn it. And you have been made, chosen one. This is also why things are changing in partnerships. Blessing is more than simply getting well. It is revelation. When God starts to show you how He is working in your life, He also shows you the people that are around you. Some people liked the hurt version of you because it made them feel important, that you needed them. People could praise you as long as you remained underneath them. But elevation shows people's true intentions. You can now tell who cheers you on and who is quiet while you climb. This insight may sting, but it is kindness, anointed one. God is not punishing you by taking people away. He is making sure that the surprise He is delivering doesn't get messed up by the wrong people. Some people were never intended to be with you in your next chapter. Their leaving is not a failure. It is alignment. There were times when God took away things I was asking Him to retain, and later I realized that those things would have made it hard for me to do what He wanted me to do. Believe in both the removal and the release. You are learning something that most people never really understand. The difference between being alone and being holy. When God sets you apart, it may seem like being alone, but it is truly being holy. He won't leave you alone. He is getting rid of noise so you can hear Him better. You were never supposed to fit in with places that put out your fire. You were designed to stand where heaven sends you with a spirit that speaks louder than anything you could say. Do not haste to put back what God took away, anointed one. Don't try to get explanations from those who don't grasp your change. Not every distance has to be closed. Some distances are safe. Some misconceptions are like heavenly insulation. I recall how hard it was to convey my progress to individuals who were set on not understanding me. I finally found peace when I stopped fighting what God was doing in my soul and began living it instead. You are entering a time when your inner world will guide you. Those in the earth think that success is based on how visible you are, whereas those in heaven think that alignment is based on how real you are. You could feel like no one knows you, but they do. You might feel lost, but you are being led in a deep way. Everything within you is getting ready for what's to come, and the tuning always comes before the reveal. This is why this moment seems heavy yet silent. Heaven is changing the strings of your life so that when the surprise comes, you will be able to handle it without breaking down. Anointed one, what is happening in you is not just a passing thought, it is the base, a stronger spiritual frame, and a deeper root system. You feel like you can't live the way you used to. That's not anxiety, it is waking up. You are getting ready for a level of power, clarity, and anointing that needs more consistency, more submission, and more calm. The miracle is not the surprise, chosen one. You are. The miracle is the person God is showing you right now, the you who lived through what should have killed you, who kept looking for answers when others gave up, and who kept believing even when you were falling apart. Heaven puts money into people like that. People like that are trusted by heaven, and heaven is getting ready to give you something that is as strong as your spirit. There are times when the promise feels so close that you can almost touch it, but it's still out of reach. You wake up one morning with hope and the next day you feel nothing. One night you pray with fire, and the next night you whisper tired words. This change doesn't mean that you are losing the promise, it shows that the promise is growing inside of you. There is a kind of spiritual stretching that happens between revelation and manifestation, a quiet strength that only those who have been chosen by God can really understand. You are in that stretch right now, Anointed One. The weight you feel is not disappointment. Expectancy has been in your spirit longer than you thought it would be. When waiting takes too long, the mind starts to think that something went wrong. But waiting a long time is often a sign that heaven is making something with roots, not something that comes and goes quickly. I have experienced this in my own life, the way God lets your desires cool down over time, until only what is clean stays. The impatience goes away, the ego goes away. What stays is a desire for what is in line with Him. You have lived long enough to know that emotional highs don't last. The quiet choice to show up again, pray again, and hope again is what has kept you going. Even on days when it seemed like the promise was taking too long, you were almost embarrassed to believe it. You have a depth that wasn't there before, a steadiness that no one can see unless they have gone through the same nights of waiting. God has been working on your endurance in the places you thought He had forgotten. You may not know this, but heaven has seen you choose faith in everyday situations, the kind of times that no one writes about. The morning you got out of bed and your spirit was numb, the afternoon you helped someone else while you were feeling down, the night you said a prayer after telling yourself all day that you couldn't do it. These are the times that make the chosen, not the sudden flashes of insight, but the long, steady walk through seasons when nothing seems to back up what God said. Chosen One, waiting only hurts when you forget who you are waiting with. God has never left you to keep the promise by yourself, even when you felt like you couldn't take it anymore and doubted your own strength. Something inside you kept bringing you back to Him, not perfectly, not loudly, but all the time. That return is a part of the miracle. Anyone can believe for a short time, but those who are chosen learn how to believe over and over again. This is why the promise hasn't hurt you, it has made you, Anointed One. Being tired doesn't mean you failed, it means you've been carrying something sacred for a long time. Prophets get tired, too. Even hearts that are faithful hurt because God's timing is so slow. Some days you wanted God to speak louder, move faster, and make things clearer, but the truth is, if He had given you every detail, it would have taken away the closeness that came from not knowing what would happen. The waiting has made you stronger, the kind that can hold a blessing without shaking. You may feel like you've been standing still in your life, Chosen One, but the spirit world doesn't keep track of movement the same way the world does. Sometimes the best way to move forward is to not go back, not fall back into old habits, and not give up on the path just because it got quiet. Heaven sees that you won't give up. Every time you stayed when you could have left, you got stronger in your spirit. Something in who you are became more stable. That strength is part of the surprise that heaven is giving you. I know something about endurance that only time can teach you, Anointed One. At some point in waiting, you stop asking for clarity because your heart knows that God's presence is clarity. At some point, you stop looking for signs because your spirit has learned to hear His voice. And at some point, you realize that the strongest faith is not fiery, it stays the same, it breathes in silence, it is unsure, it trusts without any drama, it believes without having to feel the belief all the time. This steadiness is growing in you, Chosen One. It's why you don't get scared by old fears like you used to. This is why you can feel doubt rise but still choose to expect. Faith does not mean that things are easy. Faith means not letting hard times change how you stand. Your posture has changed. When you're tired, something in you still leans forward instead of falling apart. That leaning is faith. That leaning shows that you are closer than you think you are. There will always be times when discouragement tries to settle over you like a fog, Anointed One, but you know how to get through it. You know how to let it come without letting it take over. You might not feel strong every day, but you are no longer as breakable as you used to be. You have become strong by waiting. Giving up has made you stable. Hope has made you strong in ways you can't see yet, even when it is weak. Chosen One, there is a kind of faith that does not yell. It walks quietly. It remembers softly. It picks up what God said like a stone that has been warmed by the sun and carries it through valleys without needing anyone to hear it. That is the faith that heaven respects, and I've learned that faith often stays strong not through big signs, but through small, repeatable reminders that bring your spirit back to the truth when your feelings start to drift. Anointed One, there is a quiet reminder below in the pinned comment. It is not meant to be a lesson, but rather something to come back to when the waiting gets too long. Chosen One, even now patience is working for you. The promise isn't going away. It is settling down, taking shape, and becoming more like the version of you that God has. Shaping through every time of silence. You are not late. You are not late. You are not forgotten. You are getting older. Heaven waits until the fruit is ripe. You are getting ready. When it finally breaks open, you'll understand why you had to wait so long and why God trusted you with both the promise and the journey to carry it. Chosen One, there comes a time in the journey when waiting doesn't feel like a delay anymore. Instead, it feels like a change. Change has its own kind of pain, not the sharp pain of losing something, but the slow stretching of becoming. You are in that stretch, not who you were, and not yet who you are becoming, and the gap between those two selves can make you feel lost. It makes you lose your patience, your confidence, and even your sense of self. But don't get the wrong idea about this tension. It is the last step before it is released. Anointed One, there is a quiet truth about change that not many people talk about. The closer you get to a breakthrough, the more your old self fights back, not because it is stronger, but because it knows it is losing its grip. The part of you that learned to stay alive by being quiet, getting smaller, doubting yourself, and protecting yourself knows that its time is up, and endings almost never happen without a fight. That fight inside you doesn't mean you're failing, it means you are crossing a line. Chosen One, if you've been feeling uneasy, heavier in your thoughts, or strangely tender in your emotions lately, it's because heaven is touching parts of you that were once numb. The promise is close enough now that it is bringing back old fears, memories, and reflexes that you thought you had buried, not to hurt you, but to set you free. Things that God is bringing into your life can't be built on beliefs that you are unworthy, unseen, or unsupported. He is clearing the roots under the blessing before giving it to you. I have also lived through this pain, Anointed One. When God starts to changing things inside you without asking you first, you wake up feeling uneasy, not sad, but aware that something is changing deep down. You think about conversations you never had, seasons you never healed, and patterns you never questioned. This isn't going back, this is cleaning. God isn't showing you things to make you feel bad. He is getting your inner world ready to handle what your outer world is about to get. Chosen One, elevation without healing is sabotage, and heaven loves you too much to let your next chapter fall apart because of old wounds. That's why this season seems so personal to me. God will need you to be steady in order to do the miracles He does around you. That steadiness isn't loud, it isn't glamorous. People don't usually applaud for this kind of thing, but it's the hidden strength that keeps your blessing from getting away from you when it comes. Anointed One, pay attention to how your mind have been changing, how quickly you can now see through the lies you used to believe, how quickly you know when your peace is in danger, how easily your spirit turns down things that used to be tempting. This shows that you are mature, not moody. You are not the same person who began this journey. You are becoming a person who can handle weight of favor, weight of task, weight of growth, and weight needs stability all the time. Chosen One, your stability is being built in the quiet places, the late nights when you sit with your own heart and don't run away from yourself, the mornings when you pick quiet over noise, the afternoons when you breathe through thoughts that used to scare you. These little choices that you don't see are building a spiritual backbone inside you. Heaven sees it, it is honored by heaven, heaven answers it. There is a level of breakthrough that doesn't come from just asking. Anointed One, it comes through becoming. When the ship is ready, the blessing is no longer on hold, it just shows up. God is making you into a person who can hold answers without breaking, carry power without being proud, and walk into new rooms without being afraid. And that shaping happens the most when there doesn't seem to be any change in the seasons. Chosen One, but things are changing. Your ability to tell things apart is better, your speech is clearer, your reasons are better. Your wants are more in line with heaven than with old fears. You no longer have to look outside of yourself for the promise, it is growing inside you. When it happens, you'll see that the real miracle wasn't the blessing itself but the change it made in you. This inner formation is why you have felt the need to slow down. Anointed One, not because you're tired, but because rushing doesn't feel right anymore. Your spirit is choosing depth over speed, truth over ease, and alignment over approval. There is a reason for these choices. They are the last things God does to your character before He gives you what He has planned for you. Chosen One, you are also gaining a holy sense of trust, not loud or bragging, but steady. The kind of confidence that comes from knowing you made it through something that should have broken you. The kind that comes from keeping promises even when things are dark and still believing in the light. You are no longer weak, you are strong. That is what heaven has done. Anointed One, there will be times when faith is hard to bear, not because you don't believe, but because you do. You want to do this right. You care about keeping your promises to God. You don't want to fall into old habits again. That weight shows that a person is ready to take care of a blessing, not just enjoy it. This part of the journey isn't about big events, Chosen One. It is about consistency. You are learning to walk by the truth, not by adrenaline, to stay rooted when emotions fluctuate, to remain steady when clarity comes slowly. This is the faith that carries mantles, the faith that births destiny, the faith that God builds nations upon. Anointed One, hear this in your spirit. You are not running out of time. You are running into alignment. What is meant for you is not slipping away. It is settling into its appointed place, and you are being shaped into yours. Chosen One, when the promise arrives, it will not come to a weary wanderer, it will come to a steady vessel. That is who you are becoming right now, not by force, not by perfection, but by surrender, quiet, deep, daily surrender. And soon you will look back on this part of the journey and say that was the chapter where God made me able to carry what I once only dreamed of touching. Chosen One, there is a moment in every divine journey when the weight of becoming feels almost as heavy as the promise itself. You are in that moment not because you are weak or wavering, but because heaven is pressing you into a deeper layer of yourself. a layer you could not access until now. This stretch you feel in your spirit is not punishment, it is alignment. The closer you walk toward what God has spoken, the more your life is asked to reflect the truth of it. Anointed One, the nearness of the promise has a way of surfacing the faintest tremors of fear, fear of being unprepared, fear of repeating old patterns, fear of disappointing God or yourself. These tremors are not warnings, they are echoes of your former self fading away. Every time fear rises and you keep moving anyway, something ancient and strong awakens inside you. Courage is not the absence of trembling. Courage is learning to walk while trembling and still believing God will steady your steps. Chosen One, you have been walking through a season where your spirit is being trained to recognize the difference between convenience and calling. Convenience gives you comfort, calling gives you clarity. You have tasted enough of both to know which one your soul prefers. This is why situations that once seemed harmless now feel off, why conversations that used to entertain you now leave your spirit unsettled. Heaven is refining your appetite, you are losing the taste for what drains you. Anointed One, do not underestimate these shifts, they are not mere mood changes. They are markers of transformation. God often changes the internal appetite before he changes the external environment. By the time the blessing arrives, your spirit will already be shaped to handle it. That shaping is happening even now in the smallest decisions you make, the boundaries you hold, the distractions you walk past, the truths you refuse to abandon even when circumstances contradict them. Chosen One, you have carried promises long enough to know that not every day feels prophetic. Some days feel like dust, some days feel like repetition, some days feel like you are doing everything right and still seeing nothing. But those nothing days are where the deepest formation happens. The roots of faith do not grow in lightning. They grow in silence. You are learning to hold your posture even when heaven is quiet. That is a maturity few ever reach. Anointed One, let me speak directly into what your heart has been whispering. You have not failed, you have not misheard, you have not ruined your timing. You are not too late, and you are not too early. You are exactly where God can reach you. Do not forget that timing is not just about when the blessing arrives, it is also about who you have become by the time it does. God is shaping both the blessing and the vessel, and he is not rushing either one. Chosen One, you may notice that the closer you get to breakthrough, the more your spirit becomes sensitive to peace, not excitement, not adrenaline, peace, deep, anchored, unshakable peace. It whispers to you that you are safe in God's hands, even when everything around you feels uncertain. This peace is not the absence of pressure, it is the presence of God inside the pressure. It is how heaven prepares you,